I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
We're the Ragamuffins.
And this is our review of Slam Dunk Festival 2024. Now, before we get into any of this, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Just click that button. It's free. And another thing that's free is our Ragamuffin Club. That's in the description below. It's our little community to talk about music more than in the YouTube comments description.
And everyone in there has already heard our thoughts on Slam Dunk Festival.
Exactly. They know already. We've spoken to them. They've told us about what they've enjoyed as well. So come along, come and join in. Just press that button. It's free. And yeah, let's talk about music together. So on to Slam Dunk.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start right at the beginning with last year.
Let's start with last year. Yeah.
There were a few issues.
It
wasn't clean.
If you've been with us for a year, or maybe you've gone back and looked at what we got up to at Slam Dunk last year, we enjoyed the bands.
Yeah.
We had a mostly enjoyable time.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things that were questionable about it. Some of the organisation, mainly with the car park, with water points, with toilets, with food. There were a number of issues,
many queues.
and we had to be sort of convinced and I think assured that those issues had been ironed out and they'd listened and done something about it for us to go this year. And they claimed that they had, so we went back for this year to see if they had. And like I said, one of the main issues we had was the car park. So I actually had it flash up on my phone, like Google Maps journey, saying you went to Hatfield this time last year.
PTSD.
And if I can remember the exact timings, I left my house at about 30 minutes past 7, and we arrived, considering we're about maybe an hour and a half's drive away from Hatfield Park, we actually got parked up on the site at 11 o'clock. So that should have been, I mean, we can expect queues for a festival, but what should be an hour and a half's drive took about 4 hours, which isn't the ideal start to the day. We missed a few bands that we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, although the festival sort of concluded that a lot of that was down to people turning up on the day without car park passes, so therefore them not really having the infrastructure in place to deal with that many cars arriving. So this year they made it so you had to buy your car parking passes beforehand. Anyone that arrived on the day without one was as they say, was going to get turned away. And
it did look at one point when we had kind of got parked and everything, and we were looking like, oh, I wonder if people are. We saw a car, at least one or a couple,
they got someone turned away,
looking like they were being done. So it does seem like that was actually getting checked.
And I mean, by the point we arrived last year as well, obviously there was already a massive queue, so they weren't bothering to check car park passes by that point. But this year, we had our car parking pass, we flew straight in, and we were parked up within probably about 3 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, I felt like usually where there's that massive traffic jam kind of leading into the corner through there, it was smooth sailing, and I was like, what's going on here? And that single track road to follow, we didn't stop at all, apart from them checking the car park pass, to wind down the window, asking about that, which way are we going? And apart from that, the only other thing I compare it to was Trees last year, where that was another smooth operation. It flew by, and it was immediately something, I don't know about you two, but it gave me hope. Not knowing what the rest of the day was going to go through, and we'll talk about all of that. But that was the kind of spark in me, which was like, along with the beautiful weather, this looks like we're going to have a fantastic day. And I say beautiful weather, we did go to South. If you're at North and you actually went, respect to you for putting up with that, and I hope you had a fantastic time. We were very lucky with that. We were very, very lucky. Yeah,
that's the disclaimer, I guess. The experience we're talking about here is from Slam Dunk South, not from North. We weren't there.
And so we parked up.
Yeah, we went into the little holding area they have, didn't we? Which I think is nice. There's like a little... I mean, it feels a bit like a cattle pen, but at the same time, there's merch stores in there. One of the sponsors, Monster Energy, were handing out energy drinks. There were water points in there. There were toilets in there. Rock Sound were handing out some little magazines and stuff, which had Clash finders and interviews and things in. So there was enough going on in that little holding area until 11 o'clock when they opened the gates.
On time.
On time. I don't think they were on time previously.
Not on time previously. And like immediately as we went into the arena, it was and noticeable straight away that things were like more spread out. There was infinitely more space.
There was room to frolic.
There was room to frolic.
We had a little
and,
frolic.
and just be
See
merry.
us frolic in the vlog.
But like, it seemed like there were plenty of toilets, loads of water stations. Like, pretty much, you could roughly be anywhere.
If anything, too many.
If anything, too many.
That's a joke. It was perfect.
But I would guess, at least from my experience, that at any point I could kind of look around and I was within line of sight of a toilet sign or a water point sign, which I don't think can be said for last year. And with on top of that, when I did have to go to the toilet or fill up a water bottle or whatever, I queued barely at all. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes.
I mean, when I went to get some food, and I mean, it was at lunchtime, because that was one of the counter arguments from last year was, well, if you've gone to get food at lunchtime, of course you've got to queue for it. It took me less than 5 minutes to get some mac and cheese that was delicious.
And I think, like, while we're on the subject of like organisationally, there seemed like a fresh approach, an overhaul. Like you say, that the stages seemed a bit more well thought out. Key Club wasn't 2 stages. Kerrang Tent wasn't 2 stages. It felt simplified and more basic, but I think all based off the situations that arose last year was completely the right decision to make. There was plenty of space available for it. Like you say, I think water, I think I queued up for a total of 5 minutes throughout the whole day, I would say. For a pee, I think I queued up for a total of maybe 10. And for food, maybe a total of 20 in all of that. And
you did have like 3 meals.
I had
and some donuts.
Oh my God, that donut one. Oh, a Rolo donut and a lemon donut. It was incredible.
But yeah, and I think that helped, at least for me, that I felt I was like staying more hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like it made the day a bit easier
for
me.
A better atmosphere. I think everyone seemed so much happier. And I spoke to people in the queue when I was at the bar at one point. Again, that wasn't too long queues for me. And there was chatter. I was talking with people as well, and there were some people who hadn't been to the Slam Dunk before and were still apprehensive about it after hearing about last year. Some people I spoke to, it was their 6th, 7th time with it. So there's a real mix of discussions with there. But the general atmosphere and kind of feeling was that initial first 20 minutes, half an hour, immediately seeing the layout and seeing how everything was looking. There was so much wonderful positivity there, and it felt that Slam Dunk did listen to what everyone said. They had put the plans in place to make sure it would be the best experience for everyone, and succeeded in, at least with myself, and I think with you two, really turning around my approach and now thinking of Slam Dunk going forwards. I felt a lot like if this year didn't go to plan, it would be something where I would really contemplate whether I'll do Slam Dunk again. If organisationally they didn't put these things in place, it would tarnish it for me. And yeah, I think they did a fantastic job, to be honest. I think they really nailed it. It left me so happy, and it leaves me looking forward to next year now. I'm excited to kind of think about who's going to be there, and there's that excitement that this, as such a staple at the start of a festival season, in what's usually beautiful weather, to go and kickstart that off, go with a group of mates, and just have a lovely time. And so many friends that went last year have asked me about it, and they said, "Oh, how was it?" And it was so easy to me to say it was fucking great.
I think it's probably worth mentioning as well while we're talking about the things they've taken on board and the changes they made. It's not necessarily something that impacts us, but in terms of accessibility, I was noticing like every stage had viewing platforms. Every stage had, similarly with water points and toilets being within like eyesight every time, there were like help desks and sort of security staff always like in view, that were always, as I looked around the site, always seemed very like helpful, helping people out. There were bars that had that were lowered for people in wheelchairs and other mobility devices. Anyone with an access wristband as well could queue jump, could get to the front of all the food vendor queues and everything. So I really think they really took a lot of things on board and genuinely wanted to help.
100%.
With all this being said about how impressed we were by, the improvements that they've made this year, again, to reiterate that we were at South, and we had a very pleasant experience. And I think it was a shame that the weather, which is, you know, completely out of their control, I think put a lot of those well thought out, you know, contingents and general plans that were in place
Yeah.
sort of, no pun intended, got washed away a little bit. And again, there was a festival on the site where Leeds is held the day before, so the footfall there combined with the rain and whatnot obviously made for a very muddy affair. That had an impact on festival goers that have accessibility needs, which was a shame. And I think their statement was maybe slightly...
It probably could have been worded.
Could have been
better,
worded a bit better.
because it was interpreted by some as, if you're disabled, don't come to the festival. But what I really think it meant is, we don't think we can cater to your needs successfully and in a way that we believe we could have done without the conditions being so bad. So it was like, I guess, an opportunity for people to get refunds rather than sort of risk getting stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And to straight up say about offering the refunds and be that forward with it without not even mentioning it or saying there'll be further details. I think that's them really taking into consideration and putting that out there so there's no questions asked about that. I think that's a nice way to actually address it immediately. Although, yeah, people could interpret it in different ways. And like you say, it could be worded well. I think, and I feel in my gut in a way that based on how our experience of South was, I do feel like behind the scenes, they would have looked into any possible alternatives or any way they could have helped.
Yeah.
And I genuinely do feel that from our experience. And so I kind of want to give them the credit for that they probably did do that.
Yeah, I really sympathise with the people that couldn't go in the end. It is a real shame. But at the same time, yeah, I know it rains in the north of England a lot, but it doesn't rain that much all the time. And there's not really a lot you can do to realistically plan for that kind of downpour. And I think it's worth mentioning as well, the site at Leeds is quite hilly, so it's not, if you a lot of people were saying, oh, they should put ramps down. That'll work at other festivals, but at that site where it's there's things that are so downhill at points, like you're just looking at just a roller coaster and a slip hazard at that point.
Yeah.
On a positive note,
So I do believe they did everything they could, which is also why it was a last minute decision as well. But also we don't work for the festival, so we don't know for sure. But from what we saw at South, they really did care and really did listen to the feedback from last year.
On a positive note for North, I did see a lot of stuff on social media of people that did attend, knowing full well what the circumstances were, covered and caked in mud, but with massive smiles on their face, and they still managed to have a good day. And that was still kind of nice to see that despite the issues, despite the weather, you can't let it get to you. You're going to be there. Go all in, 100%. You're going to get mucky, wet, dirty. Just go and have a good time with it. And from a lot of that, like I say, it looked like people did manage to have that.
And we had a good time in South as well. Should we talk about some of the bands that we saw?
Let's
do it. I think there's no better place to start than the first band of the day for us, which...
You know what? Might have been my favourite band of the day as well.
I was going to say one of the best bands of the day for me as well was Beauty School on the Key Club stage. Northern pop punk lads, and they played just an absolute banger of a set. 2 new songs, including a feature from Soupy from the Wonder Years, which I felt like was a real shot of adrenaline for the crowd, who, especially for people at that stage who were probably anticipating seeing the Wonder Years later that evening.
Yeah.
To then be like, shit.
Beauty School supported the Wonder Years on a UK tour not too long ago as well, so there'll be a lot of Wonder Years fans that were, including myself, that would have been wanting to get down there early to see Beauty School, because they definitely proved themselves on that tour a couple of years back. And yeah, they smashed it again at this. A perfect way to start the day. So much energy, just good vibes in the sunshine.
Yeah. One thing that's always impressed me about them, and I've seen them now, we saw them at Download. Were they at Trees last year?
They were at Trees, yeah.
So that was my third time seeing them, and I'm always really impressed when a band of that size that play the slots that they play, which are typically smaller stages early in the day, they can get a crowd involved, which not a lot of bands higher up the
Mm.
bill sometimes can't even do that.
And they put the energy into it like
Yeah.
it's Wembley Arena or something.
They have this sort of infectious ability with their set where you just can't help but sort of just get suckered in to what's going on. And then by the time Pawn Shop Jewels comes around and they're sort of teaching you the little bit that you're going to sing in the crowd, you're just so willing to go along with it. So I think it was really exciting to see a band literally, maybe they were the first set of the day. No? Did someone start?
I
First set of the day was me.
as everything unfolds,
It
started
was
a few minutes before.
10 minutes before you
But-
guys.
But for a
That's me.
band, okay, for a band that's opening a stage, to get such a response was a real good sign of what the rest of the day.
They're
was
very
about.
much like the heart of slam dunk, and like what slam dunk's all about as well. Obviously, with them being based in Leeds, like slam dunk is originally pop punk vibes. It's like Groundhog Day of slam dunk. Like that's what slam dunk's all about.
So 10 minutes before you guys started watching them, I was at the GoPro stage for As Everything Unfolds. Now, we saw them a couple of months ago in Oxford at Bullingdon. You can go and watch that vlog. And it was a really nice way to start it. And the most welcoming thing immediately was how amazing the sound was on the GoPro stage. And it carried on for all the bands throughout that day in particular. I think from other ones I heard, like pretty much all the stages sounded great. Did hear a few things about main stage at different points having a few issues. But I didn't really end up venturing to main stage at all, to be honest. So from my experience here, the sound was amazing. Vocals carried beautifully, I think, and very strong. And what was so cool was the constant filtering and seeing the crowd song by song, minute by minute, really building. And it was quite nice just to see such a large group of people immediately first band of the day at a festival. And I think that just got my excitement up for festival season as well. Just seeing such a group of people outside having fun listening to music.
That stage is also the furthest one away from the entrance as well. So
there were people running to it.
people would have had to. People that were there with intention. It's not like they've just
yeah.
walked past or they've strolled onto something. Like
100%.
they've gone there with intention to go and see that band.
Yeah.
So to what I've seen from footage, to have such a big crowd there at the start of the day is really cool.
Oh, 100%. And they put on a fantastic show, which then rolled straight into me on that stage into Caskets, which after seeing them supporting Of Mice and Men again in Oxford back in December, check out that vlog, I was a bit apprehensive initially because festivals, when I've seen them before, the sound hasn't been great. And again, like I say, with this stage, it sounded beautiful. And what struck me with them in particular was the mass amount of fan participation with songs. Like you say, you've had with Beauty School, the interactions, the amount of fans singing. It was, again, for so early in the day, ridiculously loud. And they came across like a really, really strong live band. And it's just kind of kept me as a band to possibly watch. I think there's a lot of potential there with what they could end up doing in the future. And for me, it was a lovely 1-2 to kickstart off Slam Dunk Festival. And I think from what I've heard from you guys, you had a lovely 1-2 to kickstart off Slam Dunk Festival.
We certainly did. I replicated a tour I went to. Was it earlier this year? I think. Maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was earlier this year.
I think it was.
I went to a beauty school and Arms Length co-headliner, and Slam Dunk Festival have allowed me to relive that. The beauty school followed by Arms Length, and it felt like a really pivotal moment. Like it feels like something's happening with Arms Length. That album of theirs has been around. They've been out for a little while now, but every time I see them, there seems to be more energy from the crowd, more responsiveness, more people singing the lyrics, more people like finger pointing and singing every word and getting passionate about it.
Love a good finger point.
And I think that Key Club stage is perfectly placed in the site as well, because it is the smallest stage at the festival, but it's also smack bang in the middle between all of the bands. It's all the stages. It's past where everyone's sort of walking through. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were people walking along between the stages, seeing a band like Arms Length on that stage and going, yeah, I'm going to go and check that out. And I think Arms Length are becoming a lot of people's favourite bands, and I think there's big things coming for them. They're one of the bands to really keep an eye on in the pop punk emo scene, I think.
I came to join you afterwards at that stage. It was Guilt Trip. It was the second time I'd seen them in 2 weeks after the Landmarks tour. Again, vlog plug. And it's fantastic. So to kind of, I guess, from you guys, going from pop punk to hardcore, how was that experience just to have that shake up straight away?
It was fun. Again, it sort of encapsulate what Slam Dunk is about. It's sort of the ultimate celebration and mashup of alternative music and different subcultures within it. So it might have been maybe to someone that was like an arm's length fan and didn't know Guilt Trip, might have been a bit of a whiplash to have that band follow them. But for us, I think it was a real nice, like, just energy switch up.
Crowd was going for it.
And energetic and amped up in a different kind of way. Like, you go from like the aggressive finger pointing of arm's length to
spin kicks in the pit.
Spin kicks in the pit. But yeah, Guilt Trip were just brilliant. It was just fun to see. Again, just a band of that size have such a great crowd response, and people were really moving and showing them a lot of love. So, really great set.
Yeah, did any of us go off anywhere, or did we stay there for one step closer?
We stayed there for one step closer. Who are really missing a mark when they're trying to get the crowd to come closer. Like, I was hearing people say it, it's just like, take a few steps in. No, just take one step closer. Just say it. Say it. But you've kind of said a lot about One Step Closer, and I think have been the main one out of the three of us that have listened to them and probably look forward to seeing them the most.
Well, their new album came out May 17th, so like a week before Slam Dunk. And I feel like it's going to be one of those albums where in like a year's time, or maybe even by the end of this year, a lot of people are going to be talking about it, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, hey, we saw them when they were playing this low down on this stage at this festival. I just felt like, for me, it was like I felt very lucky that I was really so like instantly hooked by that album, which is quite rare for me because I always find myself to be quite a bit of a slow burn with new albums. And within a week, I like knew most of the songs off that album. I was excited to go and see them live, and then it delivered. It was really energetic. It was a really fun blend of like some real sort of traditional hardcore elements and songwriting techniques, but then this sort of like basement-esque alternative rock that's got a really big soundscape and huge choruses. Like, just a very exciting band, and I think live and on record they're really on like a hot streak at the moment.
Very good live band. Very good live band. I think after that, personally for me, after a few pits, I was getting hungry. So I went and got myself a pulled pork burger, which was bloody gorgeous.
What would you rate it?
That pulled pork burger.
If you want to see the pulled pork burger, it's in the vlog.
I think
as is my macaroni cheese, which also had pulled pork on it.
I think if it hadn't had the pulled pork, it'd be a 7 out of 10. But I think the pulled pork added like a 1. So like we're 8 out of 10. I think is pretty solid for my Slam Dunk lunch.
It's very good.
How'd you rate your macaroni cheese?
It was decent. I think it might have been better without the pulled pork because the barbecue sauce kind of took away from the flavour of the cheese.
I can see that now.
But I still have no regrets. It was still very tasty. I'd give it a 7.
What's your lunch?
I had a hot dog with mustard and ketchup, and it was brilliant.
Out of 10?
7.5 maybe.
We're getting some good food. We're getting some good food.
Solid dog.
Food was good, and it only took us 5 minutes to get it all.
Yeah, quick as shit. Was able to get it nice and easy, wolf it down, and then I think get ready for Stick to Your Guns for all of us. To be honest, staying on that stage, a band that I've seen once before. I don't know if that's the same for you two, but that once at 2000 Trees in 2022 still stands out so strong in my mind for various reasons. With a live set, they did the circle pit around the center of the tent, and so I did have the anticipation thinking going into it, we're going to get something again, and then they were like, yeah, I want a circle pit around the sound engineers. And
I remember a line that it's Jesse, that vocalist, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember something that Jesse said. He said, "How do you all feel about circle pits?" That's a rhetorical question.
But no, their set was brilliant. A bit of a dark horse as far as like how strong their back catalogue is. You don't really realise it until they're playing some deep cuts, and then you go back and listen to them afterwards, and you're like, they've got some fucking bangers in the chamber. Brilliant set, brilliant.
They stood out to me as one of the best live bands of the day, to be honest. To get how many bands, probably towards the more heavy end anyway, are going to be able to convince crowds to kind of do that thing, and they'll just bend to their will and do it. You don't get that often, and I think for people to do that shows a love and devotion that people in the crowd had towards that band, the respect they had, the relationship to the music, to go ahead and do a fucking circle pit around the sound tent, and that early in the day as well.
They're just one of those bands that turn up, smash it, and then go.
Hey, does the job.
They do the job.
It does the job.
Well, I only stayed for half of their set because I anticipated before the festival that I was going to be spending most of my day at the Keith Club stage. So I wanted to go and explore for a little bit. I saw this as an opportunity. So I went to go and catch a little bit of Bob Vylan on the Kerrang stage. It's a weird one. I've seen Bob Vylan quite a lot recently, so I'm at the point where I kind of know what to expect from them. I know that they're going to be quite chatty. I know that they're going to just be like going insane. So I only stayed for a couple of songs. There is a bit of, what's the word for it?
Gossip.
There's a little bit of tea, which we won't spill, but it seems like they may have been a bit naughty. Then I moved on from them and went to see The Blackout, who were playing their album The Best in Town in full. I missed the Josh from You Me at 6 collab. He came out for a song. But I saw a few songs that I've not seen live from The Blackout before. So that was really nice. I think they seemed really happy to be there as well. They've played... they came back for a few reunion shows last year, and they seem to have stuck around for a little bit. So they seem to be really enjoying themselves, which is really, really nice to see. What were you guys up to while I was exploring?
Where were you after Stick to Your Guns?
I had a bit of a break after Stick to Your Guns. I got, I think, a little bit more food, and then
you got to get it while you can.
Absolutely. Made my way to main stage to get a prime spot for State Champs playing The Finer Things in full. I was very excited about this going in, and I still can't figure out if I left that set feeling fulfilled or not by the experience. Because
Interesting.
it is a brilliant album. I think The Finer Things is of like modern era pop punk. It's up there. It's a Mount Rushmore contender for sure. But I just couldn't help but feel like, they've got so many other bangers across the rest of their catalogue that I could be hearing right now. So,
but then, like, you can look at it the other way and think, well, it's an old album. They don't always. There's a few songs on that album that they don't often play live, so it's an opportunity to hear those.
And they did still play Secrets at the end to close it. As
well,
a fun little
I caught a fair chunk of that set as well, and the thing that I realised was, again, quite excited going into it, thinking under the illusion of, they're playing The Finer Things in full. Like, I'll hear songs I've never heard before. And then I realised that a lot of the songs from that album are mainstays in their live set anyway. Yeah. Like Elevated, Remedy, like they're songs that I've heard every time that I've seen that band live. So again, a nice idea, but it almost felt a bit redundant because they play a lot of those songs anyway.
I think I'm maybe being like overly like analytic of it maybe. Because it was fun. I had a lot of fun while I was there. But I don't know.
I ventured off some food after Stick to Your Guns. I went and had 2 donuts from a place that called themselves, I think it was World's Greatest Donuts. And I'm on a quest.
Congratulations, by the way.
I'm on a quest to find out if it's true, and we'll just continue that throughout life's journey. But I will say, Rolo donut and lemon donut, if you're wanting out of 10, they were both like 20 out of 10.
Wow.
And lemons are fruit, so that's one of your 5 a day.
God. Oh yeah, healthy, so healthy. Donuts are healthy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I think like you were sat next to me while I was having them, and I don't know. I want to say you. I think you were trying to ask me something at one point, and I think I was just so invested in the donut. I was just like zoned in and just like, this is all my focus is having right now.
I am one with the donuts.
Yes,
the donut is one with me.
Oh my goodness, they were incredible.
The donut is one with me.
Donuts are amazing.
Donuts make me whole.
Yeah, I mean they
Sorry,
do.
I'm proud of that one.
They do.
Those donuts didn't have a hole in those, so that's
No, they were
that's a
filled
stupid
with
joke.
like the roller one filled with that, the lemon filled like a lemon curd. After that, I think
well,
I
actually,
saw Funeral for a Friend.
I only saw a part of State Champs set because I went to see the very end of La Dispute's set because I thought like they're a band that don't come around that often. I was very intrigued to go and see them because obviously they're kind of slightly spoken word in their vocal delivery, and I thought it was pretty mesmerising, to be fair. I only saw a couple of songs, but they closed with King Park, which is the one that everyone talks about on TikTok all the time. But I loved it. I was really captivated. Loved every minute of it. I was very, very impressed by the performance.
Funeral for a Friend?
Might have been Funeral for a Friend
I
after
think
that.
it was with Lucas from Holding Absence.
Yes, because then I found you with the donuts.
Yes,
and then we went to see
I was in my element.
Funeral for a Friend. Donuts, yeah, really good donuts.
Really good donuts.
And then we went to see Funeral for a Friend.
Yeah, and you could tell immediately, I think, that Lucas was just happy to be there for a band that he grew up listening to and to be able to kind of front that. And he was so much talking about this is important for me as much as it's important for you to enjoy this band.
You say he was happy to be there. I do also think he was absolutely shitting himself.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I've seen, like, I think an interview with him since where he was like, I haven't even been thinking of it after the first day. I'm going to think of it after both days are done and I can actually reflect and enjoy it. And you can tell, like, with that in itself, the dedication to want to make it a performance that people are going to enjoy, people to remember. And he absolutely killed it. His vocals were mixed amazingly well with it and they just sounded incredible. I could see so many people just smiling, singing along, having a great time, and they drew a very big crowd as well, which was amazing to see. Yeah, I was quite blown away by it and very, very impressed.
Yeah, he smashed it. And I felt bad in a way that I felt the need to leave that set early to go and catch Mum Jeans. No, not Mum Jeans. We're not that far in yet. Oh no, we are. But I forgot to mention Mallory Knox. I saw Mallory Knox in the year 2024, which is insane to me. Mallory Knox and The Blackout in 2024 at the Slam Dunk Festival. And Man United beat Man City, so it's like 2010 all over again. Mental. But Mallory Knox were very good, massive crowd for them on the main stage. Played a bunch of oldies, including Oceans, which was off of their first EP from I think 2010 or 2011. So that was amazing to hear. Mikey sounding great on vocals. Been a long time since he's been fronting that band. So that was awesome. And now we skip forward to Mum Jeans. Who were really fun. They hid the trombone from everyone when they opened with Scott Pilgrim. But there was a big cheer, and it felt really, really euphoric just hearing that, like, da, da, da. He knows.
I know.
And yeah, just a classic Mum Jeans set, really. Like, everyone there's sad but having a good time. That classic loser punk. But while I was there, Alex, I think, was at the main stage.
I was indeed. I wanted to see the All American Rejects so desperately. I think it was maybe my most anticipated set. I kind of maybe subconsciously didn't realise how excited I was until I was there and it started. And it was just fantastic. It was like just a real joyful crowd to be in. You could tell it was a lot of people there who were just having like the absolute best time. I sort of liken it a lot to when Foyer Strong played last year or the year before, and it was like, this is a bunch of people who, like with Foyer Strong, it was like, this is a bunch of people who were too old to mosh like they would have done the first time they saw this band, but they're still singing just as loudly. And it was the same thing again with All American Rejects. It was like the loudest group of like elder emos that you could possibly assemble in one place.
I feel like you're the one that has one of those moments every year at Slam Dunk. Like you had All American Rejects this year, 4 Years Strong last year, and then the year before that, probably Funeral for a Friend. I remember you
Yeah.
talking about how loud the crowd was
That
singing
was
to that.
insanely loud. They were just really fun. Tyson Ritter, the front man, is a front man. Like, he really made a set, a show, if that makes sense. And just carried the whole thing. And then the set list was just brilliant. Like, yeah, flawless. Can't complain. My favourite set of the day.
So before I headed to my favourite set of the day, and my most anticipated, I had a weird side quest where I went to fill up some water, and probably the only interaction I think any of us had with the Dag Crash stage was I heard, I don't know which band it was, but a halftime ska version of She by Green Day, and it really threw me off for about 10-15 minutes. Be like, I know this song, what is it? And then when I finally realised, I was like, Christ, I did not expect to ever hear that. So that was interesting. But then that led me into going back to the GoPro stage, my crash for the day, for the most part, and seeing the Ghost Inside for the second time. Absolutely loved it. They are a band that are so tight live, and I think anyone that knows them, listens to them, likes them, was there, has a very deep emotional connection with not just the music, but them as individuals, based on what happened in 2015 with the crash and the kind of the fallout and how they kind of came back together and got back on stage again. You could feel that emotion in the crowd at various points, especially at the end where there definitely weren't any dry eyes when Andrew got off the drum riser. Everyone was waiting for it, and there was just a massive, overwhelming round of applause, I think, for that. And it was really quite touching to see that, and the connection that outside the music that fans have with bands and with the musicians, and how much there's a care there, a respect in a way, which was just a lovely reminder and something that was quite poignant and had me thinking quite a lot afterwards. Within the set itself, I mean, I was screaming along to Engine 45, Avalanche. New song Death Grip was incredible live. Again, Wash It Away was amazing. Dark Horse. I could just rattle off songs, but it was absolute banger after banger. And you could tell they were just having so much fun on the stage. And I think that's always a nice thing when you see bands that are having fun. It translates across, just elevates that live performance and your kind of reaction to it to a whole different level. Far and away the best set for me. Yeah, I fucking loved it.
And you stayed there for I Prevail?
Yeah, then had I Prevail.
You've already mentioned
Christ.
one cover song that you heard.
Yeah.
You would have heard another one, I Prevail?
Yeah, we had the Blank Space cover.
Baby.
It was, oh, Christ. It was hilarious.
You're a Swiftie now?
No, I'm not a Swiftie like you. What was hilarious though is they did like the regular bit of the song, and Eric was like, that bit was for you, this bit's for me, and then it went to like a deathcore breakdown version of the song, like with the lowest like kind of growls. And it was actually quite funny. And that bit was good of the song. That's my favourite bit of Blank Space is the deathcore growls. I don't know if Taylor Swift does that live.
I'll let you know.
I'm sure it's something she'll think about incorporating into the set.
It'll be cool. But as of the stage headliner, they killed it. The production had stepped up at that point. Instead of just having the banners, they had a screen behind them showing all kinds of bits, which was kind of catered towards every song. So it wasn't like anything generic. There were lyrics popping on screen, which I think added to that intensity and made that differentiation between a sub and a headliner on a stage. Like, you're going to want to kind of give that extra little oomph. Amazingly tight. Didn't have Brian because he's been having vocal surgery due to a few medical conditions. So he's on rest at the minute. But I think without him, I cannot remember his name, unfortunately, but one of the guitarists was stepping in, did an amazing job. Eric's cleans were really good as well, kind of coming through with it. Pits were bloody huge and amazing. Loved those. And again, just banger after banger. And I think like what seems to probably be coming to the end of the True Power era and wrapping that up. After seeing it a few times in the past couple of years at Download and at their show early last March, I think it was. Absolutely amazing, a very great live band, and I still think they feel like they've been around for a while, but they're still actually early on in their career, And I think there's so much potential in where they can go from here and rise into an even higher status. So, amazing shit. But where were you guys?
I was over at the Wonder Years, of course. They just smashed it again. Love them every time. I always cry when they play Cigarettes and Saints, so yeah, tears came out again. Cardinals they played as well, another one of my favourites. They played then a live debut of The Year of the Vulture, which is a song they wrote for WWE, so that was a lot of fun. And a pretty balanced set list, I'd say. There were songs from probably every album, I think, looking back. So very, very cool. The Came Out Swinging got cut short, unfortunately, by a medical emergency, but you know,
Everyone all right?
it was a quick response. Everyone seemed, well, we haven't got confirmation that everyone's okay, but everyone sort of stopped and was sensible about it. Looking back at footage, the festival security seemed to have that card system that I've not seen in the UK before. I've seen it at like Warped Tour and a couple of American festivals before. But the security just come up to the front of the stage basically with like a red card to get the band to stop basically.
I've only ever heard that in America.
Yeah, me too. But that seemed to work. So it was a quick stoppage, and everyone was sensible about it. So that was nice. A weird way to end the day.
And so I guess you stayed for You Meet at 6 straight away after All American Rejects?
No.
All right.
No.
Where did you go?
Got a bit more food and watched Wonder Years from afar. And yeah, they were really good. I think it was a real full circle moment for them as a band. Soupy talked a lot about how they struggled in the UK in their early years of their career, and their first Slam Dunk appearance was sort of a changing of the tide for them. And then to be back there headlining what is, kind of the DIY stage, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a really special thing, and it was very just heartwarming to sort of see that moment happen for them. So that was cool.
Before we get to headliner then of the night, and we have a little discussion about You Meet at 6, what was your dinner?
Chinese noodles, they weren't very nice.
Out of 10?
Fucking 4. But then a stranger walked past and said, "We bought 2 pizzas and could only eat 1. Do you want it?"
Oh, bonus pizza.
And I was sat with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "I'm still hungry. I want to get something else." And then that happened. Willed it into existence. So
The Slam Dunk gods gave you a pizza.
The Slam Dunk pizza gods. It would be a pizza as well.
They smiled down on me, yeah, of course. So.
Dinner?
Mac and cheese is all I ate all day.
Oh, really? Christ, you were a busy boy.
I was a busy boy.
I had a lovely chicken katsu curry. I would give that an 8 out of 10. Maybe an 8.5 out of 10. I sat down after I Prevail, I got that, and I was just very happy and content with life right there. And then we all kind of reconvened for the end of the night, the final UK festival appearance of You Meet at 6. Obviously calling it Korea next year, with the last shows happening in the UK in January 25. How do we feel about that set?
I mean, by this point in the day, we were all pretty shattered. You Meet at 6 are a band that I think are alright. I prefer their older stuff. But they're not really a band that excites me too much nowadays. But they did seem to play a couple of oldies. I've heard a bit about the set list post-festival, and they apparently opened with Save It for the Bedroom. We saw a couple of their older ones as well. They had Sean Smith from The Blackout come out for a song. Played a few oldies, and then we went home early.
I think it was unfortunate that we were already tired, and by the time we got to their set, it was just as they played 2 ballads like back to back, pretty much.
Yeah,
they played Always a Track, followed by Take on the World. 2 songs that I love dearly, but it basically lulled me into a slumber. So
and Stay With Me as well.
So it was a bit like, fuck it, I'm so tired, let's go. But happy for him.
And Underdog sounded great from the car park.
It sounded
sounded
really great to leave the arena just as Underdog started playing. It sounded brilliant.
I mean,
and speaking of the car park,
again, getting out.
Going back to my Google Maps throwback from last year, it took us approximately 7 hours to get home, I think.
Fuck
It said.
it.
What?
Can't be that.
I think we left at about 11.
Would be 6 in the morning when we got back.
Oh no, maybe it was 5 hours then.
At 4
Yeah,
that might be about
I got
right.
home at 4 basically.
Yeah. It's a 5-hour
So
journey. to get
about
back
5
last
hours
year.
to get back. Yeah.
Ugh.
And I think 4 hours of that was spent. Well, about 3 or 4 hours of that was spent in the car park. This time, we just went straight out.
Easy.
5 minutes out the car park.
Easy drive to Beaconsfield for a snack.
Exactly. And then, yeah, I think
Then bed.
I was home for 1.
And that's Slam Dunk 2024.
Slam dunked. I think the main conclusion from that is the bands were brilliant. We had an excellent day. And they listened.
The important thing. They listened. They made the corrections. What a great start to festival season. As we said, we've got the vlog. Go and watch it. You can see all of what we got up to at Slam Dunk
You
Festival.
can see all the food we ate.
Exactly. The frolicking in the field.
I did the worm.
He did do the worm. Go watch it.
He did.
Go and watch the vlog. Like I said, we've got our Ragamuffin Club. Join that in the link in the description. We can talk about all of this, all kinds of good stuff in music. And just subscribe to the channel. Again, they're both free. Why not just do it? Like the video. Let us know if you're at Slam Dunk this year, either south or north. What was your experience like? Who did you enjoy seeing the most? What was your highlight of the day? And who do you want to see there next year? We'll have a video that will be talking about our predictions for next year and what we think is going to be happening. Where does Slam Dunk go from now? Who knows? We'll talk about it.
But until then, we'll see you at Download. Apart from Alex.
Thanks for reminding me.
James and I will see you at Download.
We'll see you at Download.
Whatever.